Well, you guys absolutely killed it with the first best team with Venusaur. I honestly really liked how the team turned out, and it seems you did too. For those of you who did see last week's team, I'll be real, the Charizard team isn't too different at all. So rather than waste your time, you can click off here. For those of you who are new though, welcome to the Best Team Charizard Edition. Before we get into our team of 6 revolving around the beloved Fire Lizard, let's cover what a best team is. The best team is what I consider to be the best 6 Pokemon to use for completion of said Pokemon game. Every choice is designed to defeat all the gym leaders, Elite Four members, evil teams, and of course the champion in the most efficient way possible. Legendaries will be included here. Inversion exclusives will be covered as well. By the end of this video, you will know where to find each Pokemon on the team, what moveset to run, HM usage, and if applicable, even know which items and abilities to use. Given how limited Firered and Leafgreen are though, items and specific abilities won't be as prevalent as say in a modern Pokemon game. That pretty much covers it though. With that said, let's hop into our starter. So, Venusaur is the best starter, and if I had to consider a second best, it would definitely be Charizard. Do I even really need to give an introduction to Charizard? It's pretty much Pokemon's second mascot next to Pikachu, and it's the box art of Pokemon Fire Red. Charizard, despite its fire type not being super useful against a chunk of the main battles, it has its niches for sure. Where it shines best is definitely against Erica and Lorelei's ice types. Charizard's stat line, in my opinion, is the best of the 3 starters. It gets Stab Flamethrower at level 34. Realistically, you don't have to sacrifice a slot on your team for Fly, giving you more team diversity, and it just does good damage output across the board neutrally for the most part. One thing that Firered and Leafgreen also added for the Charizard line is accessibility to Metal Claw for Brock. Is it a big game changer? A bit, but it's not too crazy. Anywho though, overall I would consider Charizard pretty good. If it were a starter in a region like Johto, I would definitely consider it as the best. For Charizard's moveset, I feel like this is a pretty standard one. Flamethrower, Fly, Blast Burn, and Dragon Claw. Flamethrower, like I mentioned prior, can be learned at level 34 as a Charmeleon. Fly can be found in the secret house next to Celadon City. Blast Burn can be taught via Move Tutor by an NPC on 2 Island. Just note that Charizard's happiness needs to be maxed. So, similar to Venusaur, I would focus on giving it a ton of vitamins. Lastly, we have Dragon Claw. That TM can be found in Victory Road. But yeah, once Charmeleon gets Flamethrower is where you're really going to see the Charizard line's value. At the second slot of the team, we have Primeape. Mankey can be found on Route 22, right next to Viridian City at the beginning of the game. With that, Mankey is pretty necessary for the fight against Brock. Now, you could beat Brock with Metal Claw on Charmander, but I think having the Mankey just gives extra security. Aside from that, Primeape is a pretty solid physical attacker with a pretty decent speed stat to boot. It gets a pretty solid learn set, and I love the early game accessibility it offers as well. Not to mention, there is a specific normal type I like having Primeape for, being Giovanni's Kangaskhan. For Primeape's moveset, we're rocking with the same from last week's best team. Brick Break, Cross Chop, Rock Slide, and Aerial Ace / Bulk Up. Brick Break is Primeape's main stab attacking move, and that can be found on the SSN via TM. Cross Chop is learned at level 35, and that's solid availability. Rock Slide can be learned via Tutor in the Rock Tunnel, and lastly, I'm gonna give you guys the choice between coverage or setup. Aerial Ace can be found on Route 9, and Bulk Up can be found in Silphco on Floor 7. I personally think Bulk Up is better, but I leave it to you. Up third is Nidoking. I'll make this brief. Nidoran Male can be found on Route 3, and from there, you can evolve it in the Nidorino, and then shortly after in the Nidoking via the Moonstone. With that, boom! You have a fully evolved Pokemon by the time you only have 1 badge. It's honestly pretty cracked. Nidoking overall has a pretty solid stat line, it has good matchups against a chunk of the important battles, and its move pool is pretty flexible too. Speaking of that, Nidoking's moveset is going to be Earthquake, Surf, Fire Blast, and Mega Horn. Earthquake, unfortunately is a late game TM obtained from Giovanni, so you will have to use Dig in the meantime. Dig is gotten as a TM after defeating the Rocket Grunt in the Broken Into house. Surf is obtained from the secret house in the Safari Zone, Fire Blast is earned after defeating Blaine, and Mega Horn is learned at level 43. Now, if you would like to teach Nidoking Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, or Ice Beam, it is possible to do so. Funnily enough, in the original best team, I told you guys it would take a while to get these TMs via grinding out the VS Seeker. But since streaming Firered and Leafgreen, you guys taught me some pretty valuable tips when it comes to getting money. For one, I remembered that you can use Persian or Meowth with Payday. The second method I learned is actually an exploit, and it wholly depends on if you are cool doing it. So, on the Nugget Bridge, there's a Rocket Grunt at the very end that will give you a nugget. If you purposefully lose to him, he will give you a nugget every time you challenge him again. You can stack this as many times as you want, and if you do it enough times, you will have enough for multiple copies of the Game Corner TMs. If you are against using exploits like this though, I totally understand. That's why I suggested this particular moveset for Nidoking. At the halfway point, Snorlax makes its return. It can be captured in two locations. One is on Route 12, and the other one on Route 16. Route 16 is directly west of Celadon. I promise you can't miss it. The other one is on Route 12. You can get there by going east of Vermilion past Diglett's Cave, or you can go south of Lavender Town by following the docks. I'll keep it brief. Snorlax is an absolute unit and is arguably one of the best Pokemon you can use in Firered and Leafgreen. It's got great bulk and is an offensive behemoth. It's an overall really solid pick, and it can be used in nearly any situation across Kanto. Its moveset is also pretty stacked. I'd say where it shines the most is definitely against Sabrina and Agatha. Both of their teams have really paper-thin defenses, so physical attacking Shadow Ball decimates them with relative ease. More so for Agatha's ghost types though. Items-wise, we have two options. One is the leftovers. The downside is you need the item finder and 30 Pokemon captured. And yes, you do need the item finder. For whatever reason, you can't just pick up the leftovers. If you're going to do the post-game content for Firered and Leafgreen though, you need to capture 60 Pokemon anyway. So if anything, you're just knocking this out early. If however you do not feel like capturing 30 Pokemon, the Quick Claw is the second option. That can be found in the Safari Zone on the floor. Lastly, for abilities, we have Thick Fat. Thick Fat is definitely the best because it halves fire and ice damage. Snorlax's moveset is going to consist of Strength, Shadow Ball, Double Edge, or Brick Break. Strength can be obtained after getting the golden teeth in the Safari Zone and giving them to the Warden in Fuchsia City. Shadow Ball can be bought from the Celadon Game Corner. Double Edge can be taught as a move tutor in Victory Road, and another Brick Break TM can be bought from the Celadon department store. At the penultimate spot, meet this team's MVP, Jynx. To get Jynx, you will have to trade a Poliwhirl to an NPC in Cerulean City. To get a Poliwhirl or Poliwag, head over to Route 6 with the Super Rod. Now, fun fact, you do not need to beat Erica in order to get the Super Rod. So beat the Rocket Hideout first, then the Lavender Town Tower, then grab the Super Rod and catch Poliwhirl. From there, Jynx will be ready to massacre Erica and you can grind her levels at the same time. It is a bit of a process, but it's worth it. Other than that, Jynx is a very solid speedy special attacker, and it has excellent matchups against the majority of the important battles, especially against the Elite Four. Jynx's moveset is Ice Beam, Psychic, Calm Mind, and Blizzard. Prior to getting Ice Beam, Jynx will have Ice Punch, which is still really solid. So if you wanted to wait on getting Ice Beam due to a lack of money, you can definitely wait on that. Psychic is obtained from Mr. Psychic's house in Saffron City, Calm Mind is earned after defeating Sabrina, and lastly, Blizzard can be found in the Pokemon Mansion. Blizzard I think is handy if you aren't sure whether or not Ice Beam can get the knockout. It's just a bit of a gamble due to the accuracy. And our last member is going to be Zapdos. Zapdos is obtainable right when you get access to Surf and is found inside the power plant at level 50. Zapdos is ready at the mid-game, and will help you massively at this point. Like I said prior, you can either get it right after Surf, or you can wait until you get the Master Ball after beating Silph if you wanted an easier time catching it. I personally would just wait until after getting Surf. Anywho, Zapdos is a heavy-hitting special attacker and is also going to be our team's dedicated flyer. Until then, catch a Spearow, trade it for Farfetch'd, and then teach it Fly and Cut. As for items to use on Zapdos, I would recommend picking up the second leftovers using the same method earlier on Snorlax. The only difference here is you're going to go to the second Snorlax you didn't go to the last time. As far as battles where Zapdos shines the most, I would honestly say it performs really well against Lorelei's water types and against Lance's non-dragon flyers. For Zapdos' moveset, we have Thunderbolt, Drill Peck, Thunder Wave, and Thunder. Thunderbolt is obtained from the Celadon Game Corner, Drill Peck and Thunder Wave already come equipped on Zapdos after capturing it, and lastly Thunder is found in the power plant, so pick that up before catching Zapdos. Now, before wrapping up this team, there are a couple extra notes I would like to cover. If you are playing Leaf Green, replace Jynx with Starmie. This move pool and stats pretty much show you why. You can pick up a Staryu south of Pallet Town using the Super Rod. From there, you can buy a Water Stone from the Celadon department store and evolve it. For moves, we got Surf, Ice Beam, Psychic, and Thunderbolt or Blizzard. The choice is up to you between Thunderbolt and Blizzard. With this Nugget method, I would recommend T-Bolt. But like I said earlier, if you do not like exploits like this, Blizzard can be ran in its place. A little tip on training Starmie is to just Psychic all the bikers on Cycling Road because they're all poison types. With that training, Starmie should level pretty fast. As far as other HMs go, I have to bring up Flash. Flash is obtained after capturing 10 or more Pokemon and speaking to the Professor Oak aide south of Diglett's Cave using Cut. Now, if you have played Firered and Leafgreen before and are pretty confident you can get out of Rock Tunnel without Flash, more power to you. However, if you are a brand new player, I would highly recommend picking it up. The perfect Flash Pokemon is Paris, and that can be caught inside of Mount Moon. Once you get out of Rock Tunnel, you can ditch Paris. Anyways, aside from Starmie and Flash, because you are using Charmander, I would pick up a temporary Bellsprout or Oddish, depending on which game you're playing, for Misty. With minimum training, it should help out a chunk. Or maybe you can outright beat Misty with Thrash on Nidoking. I actually haven't tried it myself, but I'm sure it is possible. One more extra little tip is you can find berries across Kanto if you want extra held items. Cool thing is, no item finders needed. Well, that wraps up this best team for Charizard. If you watch the Venusaur team on top of this one, even after the disclaimer, I really appreciate the support. Due to limited options in Firered and Leafgreen, it was really hard to make a different team. And none of the other options I had in mind really competed well with the members from the previous team. So that's why it's pretty much a duplicate, unfortunately. But if you are new here and was your first time watching, I hope this team works out for you. Anywho though, we got one more stop with Blastoise, so stay tuned next week for that, as well as more Firered and Leafgreen content coming out soon.